is up, guys? Delboy here. So an interesting fight at Bantamweight between IBF World Champion Lee Haskins and up-and-coming Ryan Burnett. This fight is going to take place on the 10th of June and it's going to go down at the Odyssey Arena in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And Belfast, Northern Ireland is where Ryan Burnett is from. So Burnett has the hometown advantage here. Lee Haskins, the champion, comes into this fight with a record of 34 wins, 3 defeats, 0 draws, 14 of those 34 wins coming by way of knockout. Ryan Burnett comes into this fight with a record of 16 wins, 0 defeats, 0 draws, 9 of those 16 wins coming by way of knockout. So where do we start with this one? Obviously, Lee Haskins has been around for a long time now. He's experienced. He's been there, done it. He's had ups and downs. He's coming into this fight with a much... He's had a hell of a lot more experience. He's gone 12 rounds numerous times, and you know, in European title fights, in British title fights, and in world title fights. So he's sort of been there and got the t-shirt kind of thing. But at 33 years old at bantamweight, you know, he's getting towards that age now where, you know, maybe he's seen better days. He's been a pro now for 14 years, I believe he's been a pro. So he's been a pro for a long time. He's had quite a few fights. And you have to ask yourself, how much does he have left? And even in his last fight against Stuart Hall, it was quite a tough fight. And, you know, he was kind of flagging in that fight towards the end. He started well, but at the end, he was kind of flagging. So against a younger guy, how is he going to sustain himself? You know, you've got to ask yourself that question. Is this good timing from Team Ryan Burnett? But yeah, he's got the experience factor, has Lee Haskins. Burnett obviously comes in with a youth. He's fresher. He's undefeated. He's got all that confidence. He's got Adam Booth behind him. And he's a skillful fighter in his own right. I think it's an interesting matchup because Burnett has looked decent in what he's been doing. He's not fought great competition. His best wins are probably Jason Booth and Ryan Farag. Jason Booth's kind of guy, he's a guy who's sort of been around British level for a long time, and Ryan Farag has been around British level as well, and he's also dabbled at European level. They're his two best wins. So what we do know about Ryan Burnett, he is better than British level because he's beat those guys quite handily actually. So he's proved himself at British level. He's not really had European level fights, so we don't know how close to world level Ryan Burnett is. In the trade in the UK, he is rated quite highly. I recall 2 or 3 years ago, people talking about Ryan Burnett a lot. You know, saying he's going to be one of the best fighters in the UK. He's extremely talented, blah blah blah, and you know he's moved along with his career, not pulled up trees, but at the same time not really put too much. He's not really done anything wrong, kind of thing. He's been competent, is how I would describe Ryan Burnett. When I see Ryan Burnett fight, like against Jason Booth or Ryan Farag, he always seems like there's a level or two more than he sort of doing in the ring, kind of thing. It always looks like he could do a bit more, and he's still winning these fights quite easily. So yeah, I do rate Ryan Burnett. I think he's a good fighter. He's got decent hands, pretty quick, good body puncher, good counter puncher. He can box on the back foot. He can box in mid range. As I said, he's a good boxer, and he's definitely got talent. He's a really good counter puncher, really good selection of punches as well, and I definitely do rate him. He's a good fighter, but the question is it too early? Lee Haskins isn't the best world champion. You've got guys like Tete and Yamanaka there, and even Zanat Zakyanov I'd rate above Lee Haskins, and obviously Jamie McDonald as well. You'd have to say that Lee Haskins is, and I'm not being disrespectful, but Lee Haskins is probably the worst champion at a weight, and that it is what it is. But even then, has Ryan Burnett sort of fought the level of competition that's going to prepare him for a fight like that? You know, Lee Haskins likes to mess you about. He likes to get in and out of range with his southpaw stance, pick you off with his jab, and he's really awkward. Lee Haskins is like a poor man's Prince Nazim with no power. That's what he's like. He's awkward. He'll come in at weird angles. He'll lead with his left hand sometimes, and you know he can kind of catch you off balance. He can make you look bad. He can spoil. So I think it's going to be a hard fight for Burnett to look good in, but I do think he's got the edge. He's younger, he's fresher, he's more active when he throws his shots. He throws fair few punches, and Lee Haskins, particularly in the second half of fights, he does have a habit of slowing down a lot. You know, as I said earlier, he slowed down against Stuart Hall in his last fight, and even if you look earlier on in his career, I recall his fight with Stephen Jamoy. He kind of got ground down in that fight. You know, so maybe there is something where Lee Haskins does slow down in fights. Who knows? But I think it's an interesting clash of styles. You've got the orthodox fighter in Burnett, who's a good counter puncher, good body puncher, decent skill set, versus the awkward, tricky southpaw, who likes to spoil. He likes to mess you around. He's that type of fighter. Interesting fight. I'll make Ryan Burnett a favourite vote. I think he's going to be too young. He's going to be fresher. He's also got home advantage. So I do make Ryan Burnett a favourite. I mean, you've got to... I mean, Lee Haskins, I mean, he fought guys like Ian Napper 10 years ago, you know? So, listen, I think he's slightly past his best now. He's still a good fighter. He's still awkward. But, you know what? I just think Ryan Burnett is going to have a little too much for Lee Haskins. What do you guys think of this fight? I think it's a decent fight, and definitely one to keep your eye out for if you're interested in the lower weights.